Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Career China Facebook page. We have a special guest today that we're going to be talking with all the way from Beijing, Alex. So say hello, Alex.
What's up?
Today, what we're going to be talking about today is actually adjusting to life as an ESL teacher in China. And Alex has just recently came to China not long ago, and so she's going to share with us her experiences and what life has been like, since moving to China as an ESL teacher. But first, again, Alex is in China, so the connection, just bear with us if there might be a delay or anything like that. We'll work through it. So real quick, if you're just coming to this page and what is Career China? Who's Josh? Who's Alex? Well, I'll tell you, Career China, we're actually a global firm that matches reputable companies in China with candidates, international candidates. We have a global international staff of recruiters. We also have an in-house visa team and ground support team as well. And so much more. So our focus is from helping ESL teachers from start to finish. So, even with Alex being in Beijing, we can still work with her and making sure she's adjusting well and all that fun stuff. So it's a little bit about Career China. Alex, let's dive into it. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Down to the five. I'm from Durban, is a very small town back home, and I'm a college teacher, and I like being outdoors. I really love the sunshine, so I'm struggling with the winter at the moment, but those are my basics.
Yeah, you have to get used to, especially we were talking about that coming from South Africa to Beijing, especially you kind of have to get used to the weather, but there's always fun things to do. What led you to teaching English in China from South Africa?
Anyone that knows a little bit about my country, we do struggle with our unemployment rate, and it's very real. A young woman, especially back in my country, work was just not an option. I had moments where they couldn't even offer me a salary, let alone guarantee like a foreseeable career. And I love teaching. That's why I studied it. It's my passion, and I really got put on the back burner for a long time simply because our education system back home is that bad. And then a guy that I was seeing at the time, funny enough, came out to China, not a teacher, just was going to see kind of what the life was like out of here because he wasn't able to do anything back home. Got into a teaching job so easily and just said to me, he's like, listen, there's no point staying back home where you're going to struggle and eventually end up hating the profession. So I thought I have nothing to lose. It was honestly a spur of the moment, probably more like my heart deciding over my brain. But it was just a case of, not doing anything back home. So if you're going to leave, you may as well go to that side of the earth. Yeah.
Well, it's funny when you say that because I think for my wife and I, we actually went to China after realizing we're on the wrong career path. This isn't the career path that we're supposed to be on. So you actually went ahead, it sounds like, and kind of beat all those years that we were not really happy, in our day-to-day life. And so that's what China came to us as teaching English and the opportunity and the growth and everything like that. So we were pretty much right in the same boat as you, but maybe a couple of years later. So we kind of figured it out. You figured it out early, which was good.
Yeah. And it's funny you say that because if I could have figured it out even earlier, I would go 3 years if I could. I don't know if I'd be as ready as I am now, but I would have done this 3 years earlier if I could have.
Yeah, I think that's exactly for us as well, especially for me too, I think, because I've always wanted to be a teacher, but my career path went a totally different direction, and I always wanted to know if I would be good at it. And so instead of being 40 and it being too late, I decided, just to make it happen. And ever since then, my career's flourished, having China on the resume and working with international people and staff, and yeah, so it's a big booster.
It's a danger.
Yeah, yeah. So we coming to China kind of leads to our next topic. What was your first impression of China? So you coming from South Africa, you land in Beijing. What was your first impression?
My first thing, and people laugh at me all the time, but my town's really small. So I was one of the first people to ever make it out. We're a coastal town as well, and we're an old town. So landing, and I still freak out about it to this day, but there are a lot of lights. The city lights are a real thing. Lights that change color, and that shattered my entire universe because I'd never seen so much happening. So my initial impression was just that the city's alive. It's constantly. But what I wasn't expecting is it's beautiful. The landscape and the layout of the country, it is magnificent. And I think in my mind, I'm in concrete jungle, very cold, very dark. But the little bit of traveling I've done, I can't believe how beautiful and open and still very raw some parts of this country are. That blew my mind. Yeah.
Yeah, I think when you were saying the lights, I instantly went back to my first ride in China, landing in Beijing, and I was riding on one of the major ring roads, and I see this big building, and it's like it has an ocean that's moving the entire building, and I was like, what is, is this common? Is it? And I'm like, this is really cool. But yeah, again, to what you were saying, like with the openness and everything. Yeah, just, I mean, the city, China's not a full concrete jungle. Like there are some beautiful parts of it, that's still kind of being developed and still, I think that was one thing that drew us. It's kind of like a little untouched still, to the, they just recently kind of opened it up several years ago to foreigners like us and everything, and it's really kind of still a little untouched, I feel like.
Yeah, no, there's definitely some parts that are still so original, and I think those have been my favorites so far. I just didn't expect to see them. Like when you've got open mountain ranges, I was waiting for a mountain range in China. I was not even kind of.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, it's pretty cool. I think one of my biggest first impressions when I landed was how well I was treated. I think coming from America and coming from the South where I grew up, we have misconceptions about how other people in other countries treat other people. And that was one thing that really stood out to me was everyone really treated, I think my first impression was like, wow, everyone's treating us like really good, and nice.
The people are, well, that's it, because I don't know, not that I had heard negative things, but you just hear that China's a hard place to be. Yeah. Like the people are hard, work is hard, and the climate's hard. But especially as a young foreigner that's a teacher, and as soon as the local people find out that I'm a teacher, that's game changer for them. And no, I'm amazed. The culture is so rich, and they are so many senses, but the people are so welcoming and accommodating. I wasn't expecting that at all. I really was waiting to be like, right, this is it. This is where you have to hustle on your own. Can't expect a lot of help from people. And I've had the complete opposite. It's been so welcoming. So
you're in Beijing, so you're in a bigger city and have more international, people around and things like that. When I lived in Guangzhou, so my teaching experience and living experience was in Guangzhou, and it was right outside of Guangzhou. So it was a small neighborhood where U.S. foreigners really did stick out. But at the same time, like my teachers and my managers of my center, and they just treated us like family. They wanted to make sure we were happy with our stay there. So they would invite us to tea ceremonies, to everywhere, and that kind of helps with the first impression is that, wow, they really kind of took us to family right off the start.
Yeah, well, that's the thing, because you're choosing to make your life here, even if it's just a year. You're choosing to call this home, and if you're gonna find yourself in a place where it feels hostile, the two just don't go together. And that's why I thought to myself, I'm here indefinitely. Like, this is the place I've decided to call my home for however long it's going to be. And then the added bonus is that people make you feel like you can do that, you know, because it could easily go the other way, very easily.
Yeah. 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 I think that's a well said. So let's kind of talk about teaching. So you're an ESL teacher in China. What's that about? What's that like? Tell us a little bit about your school and, you know, like your setup, I guess.
My school's magic. I'm good. I'm genuinely happy. It annoys people, but my school really it's magical, and the company, I find it flawless. I haven't been able to fault it on anything yet, and I can't imagine that I ever will, because the way it's been structured and the way it's been designed in order to bring us as foreign teachers and these kids together, it's impeccably done. A lot of thought's gone into it, and I can't imagine teaching anywhere else right now. I really can't. It's very different from what I was expecting, purely because back home our teaching is very strict, very detached. You're there to kind of give information and then leave, and there's no involvement in the kids' lives, and there's none of that feeling side of it. Whereas this is all about love the kids, be affectionate, get as involved as you can, and I thrive on that. Like, the more I can adore and just cover these kids in kisses, like, the better. So no, it's really not what I was expecting, but definitely for the better.
Yeah, and what's the name of the school that you work for?
I'm with First Leap.
Okay.
And we've got a bunch of centers all over Beijing. So I'm in like a hot spot. There's tons of us. My center's a little bit down south. It's like 45 minutes on the subway. But they're beautiful. They're all state of the art, like big fancy classrooms, whiteboards. They're just, everything that opens and closes. So it's fun, even for a big kid.
Yeah. The smart boards can be a lot of fun, especially for a teacher to play with the students, and the students love it as well. So you can always interact that into your lesson and all that fun stuff. How long have you been in teaching in China?
I'm only coming up 5 months now. So a couple weeks, it'll be my 5-month mark. Yeah. It's gone ridiculously quickly. And we're just talking because we've now got a new teacher that's just joined our center. And I was saying to the girls that it really feels like yesterday that I was brand new. But then when I think about it, it could be 3 years ago for all I know. Time is just, it's bizarre here. But coming up.
Yeah, I think I have to I agree with that. I think when my 6 months came around, it felt like a month. Like, it goes by so fast. Because once you're over there, you find your routine, and we'll talk more about that too. But once you find your daily routine and you got your schedule down, and you're able to travel with the type of schedule that First Leap has as well, time flies by, and you meet so many people, and all that fun stuff. So, what was your first impression on First Leap? I know you had mentioned a little bit about it, but what was like your, because First Leap, it has a training. You go to Beijing, you meet other teachers, you go through training, all that stuff. What was your first impression on First Leap?
Once again, very different from what I was expecting, but definitely in a more positive light. I think, I know I was expecting it to be very, very strict, very. I was just expecting it to fit the China lifestyle and be like very regimental, and everything's on a strict schedule and quite hard and cold. But it's a lot more relaxed. It's definitely got more of a feeling like, as the expat community, you're coming over here as a family, and the first thing that gets kind of hardwired is that this is the First Leap family, and you don't mess or make or break within that group. And they're, in being relaxed, they're still incredibly professional. Like even just with organizing, getting me picked up in the morning, that first day of training, when they say 8 o'clock, they mean 8 o'clock training starts, and the knowledge and expertise coming from the trainers is ridiculous. There is absolutely no way I would have settled as well as I did had I not had my trainers, hands down. So no, as a company, they've thought of everything, they've covered everything. And I think because they're constantly trying to better themselves, you're never going to find yourself as an expat coming up to something that has never happened before and the company doesn't know how to deal with. You know, they're on top of their game. They really are.
Yeah. Yeah, they've actually been around. That's one thing when I was getting recruited by First Leap, I did my research as you did too, I'm sure. It was one thing that I realized is, wow, it's a big company. You know, they're located all over China, and the training and everything, and it's continual training. Like if you want to move up with the company, and like you said, if you want to be there for a few years, you can actually leave with the management position, and you know that'll boost your resume even that much more, or just stay there. We have people that have been international staff for 5 years, going on 6 years, and they started as an ESL teacher, and now they're running the international department. You know, so you know, there's growth to it and everything. Let's talk about your classes. I think that's one of the coolest things that I loved was the type of lessons, because when you're saying that it's kind of laid back and not as strict, but yet still professional. What are some of the classes that you teach, and what are some of your favorite ones?
Oh man, well, I'm with the younger kids mostly. So like today I had my first baby start lesson. So I'm teaching 18-month-olds. Like they're little Nunu still. And then my oldest class is stage 3. So they're 6, maybe 7 at the very oldest. And we're doing a lot of painting, a lot of music, and then a lot of like basic life goals. It's called global leadership, and it's things like the environment, interacting with others. So just basic life lessons. I want to say music could be my favorite subject because it really is just a lot of singing and dancing, and the kids love it. But my art classes, if it involves paint, then that has to win. It's so much fun. And I made a joke with my supervisor the other day. I was like, do you realize that you're paying me to be a big child? That is all you're doing here. Because you get so into it. And I've got photos where I'm covered in paint, the kids covered in paint. My teaching assistants take videos of me doing music classes, and I've got us doing like a little mamba dance around the classroom. It's ridiculous. The style of teaching is so comfy because I genuinely forget that I'm like in classroom teacher mode, and they're learning all this English purely because we're just having a good time together. It's fantastic.
Yeah. I think for me, I think my students knew that they were going to have fun when Josh was
there. Josh, I lost.
You know.
Oh, did I get you back?
Oh. Yeah, yeah, there we go. Yeah, I think the way international teachers teach, especially for First Leap, is like we're the fun class, you know. So when they see us going into the class, they know that they're about to have fun, and whether that's with science or art, even reading, it was fun. I think one of my favorite subjects would have to be science. I love doing science because we had to be creative, because the way the lessons kind of work, and you can kind of explain this too, is it's up for us to come up with a fun activity. So we have a basic lesson that we follow, but then we come up with an activity, which is what I love doing. So we would always have to be creative about how to make this science project work. And so me and my international teachers, we would be up there like creating our own science projects and testing it and, you know, fun things like that, and then able to take it into the classroom. So it's a lot of fun. It can be a good time. What's the schedule? What's your schedule like?
My schedule's amazing. I think it's definitely a huge factor as to why I picked First Sleep. So it just changed as of today, but it was Wednesday to Friday. I worked from 2:30 in the afternoon till 8:30 at night. I'm not teaching that entire time, so lessons only start from 5 o'clock onwards. So getting at 2:30, I've got 2.5 hours of prep to do for lessons that are coming up in the week. And then I don't necessarily teach for those 3 consecutive hours. So I may have a half an hour class at 5 o'clock. I might have a demo at 6, and that could be my entire schedule for Wednesday. It comes to like a total of an hour's worth of teaching, you know. And then Saturday, Sunday are quite hectic days because obviously that's when the kids are off. So we have them for the full day. So go in at 9 in the morning, and we come out at 7. But again, like some Saturdays I'll teach, say, from 9 to 9:40, and then I've got nothing until 11:15. And then a couple lessons at, say, like 3, 4, and 5 o'clock, and then that's my Saturday. So very flexible, because we're working obviously with the kids and the parents and what they want to do outside of their kindergarten schedule. So yeah, it's a very, very, very relaxed week for us. Absolutely.
Yeah, I think that's another thing that drew me to working with First Sleep was the schedule. Your Saturdays and Sundays are pretty busy, but you have Monday and Tuesday off which is good because it's less people out. So like if you want to go visit, the Temple of Heaven or something, like you're going to have less of a crowd, and it's your off day.
No, for sure.
It
definitely short. Just like there's something about not having to do anything on a Monday, and it just makes the rest of the week so easy. But also everyone panics about the Saturday, Sunday. And I just said to someone the other day, that doesn't mean anything here. Like as big and as exciting as a Saturday can be here, that can be a Tuesday as well. Like there's always something happening. So I don't notice missing the traditional weekends at all. Yeah.
I agree with you. When we were over there teaching, Saturdays and Sundays go by so fast, and they're fun because your students are there, and it's like a lively place. Like always something going on. Maybe for lunch, it's completely quiet. You get like an hour or 2 hours of complete silence to kind of prep for your afternoon classes. But it's also a good time my Chinese teachers and my international teachers were my best buds. And so it was just more time I got to spend with them and learn the culture. And hey, I would go up and say, hey, one of my students said this, like, what does that mean? And then I'm learning too,
Yeah.
So it's pretty cool. Good teaching. It was fun. So let's move on to the next subject. We'll talk about adjusting to China, like everyday life in China. So we've kind of talked about teaching and your schedule and everything like that. Adjusting to everyday life in China, I think that's what everyone's really kind of concerned about. How am I going to live in China? My daily routine, am I going to be able to find it? Have you found your routine within the 5 months in China?
I want to say yes, purely because there are certain things that have to happen every day, like work. But when it comes to having a routine that I'm bound to, no, which is amazing. My day, the possibility of stuff that can happen in my day is endless. So regular Monday, because it's just so easy to do so much here, I can end up going, a couple weekends ago, I went camping on the Great Wall for Monday, Tuesday, just because I could. So
I know that's on my bucket list. I still haven't done that yet, but it's amazing, I hear.
It blew my mind. But I didn't say to myself, right, so now Monday, Tuesday, we got to make sure that we do A, B, and C. Like, that was a spur of the moment, buying a too-quiet train ticket. So routine in the sense that, yes, I have to get up and go to work, 100%. That was so easy to get to. The social life, there is no routine, but that's exactly what I'm loving about it, because I can get up some mornings and want to do absolutely nothing, and that's fun. And then there's other mornings that I'm like, no, I'm definitely going to just walk and see what I find, and those are just as good.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think that's what makes time goes by faster.
Yeah.
That you don't have it, you don't necessarily have a routine. Some people, they go and there's gyms there, so you're able to find your gym membership if that's your thing. You would rather work out every morning, that's available. So there are, you can get in a routine, but I think I'm with you. I didn't really say, okay, Monday and Tuesday I have to do this, this, this. It was more just going with the flow, because that was another thing that I loved about living over there was every day was different. So no 2 days are the same. And for me in my life and what I needed, that's exactly what I needed. I was tired of clocking in, clocking out, getting what day it is, that type of routine at home. But when you come over to China, it's every day's different, and every day's an adventure too. I feel like even just, hey, I'm going to go to the store. Well, you never know what you might see going to the store, but that's cool though,
Yeah, that's exactly it. Because it was the same thing for me. I just got into this mundane thing of Monday to Friday and the same stuff Saturday, Sunday, and I needed something that was just going to like shatter that entire little bubble that I was living in. But I've two of my friends from South Africa are coming up, hopefully starting in Jan, and like his wife, her biggest concern is not having those children to feel like home. So she wants somewhere that, like you said, that she can go to the gym, or that she can go do her shopping, or that she can go get her hair and her nails done. And I've said to her, I'm like, you can have the exact same life, just in a completely different space. But then if you want to opt for something like me, where you don't know which way's up some days, that's okay too, because like, why not? Yeah.
Well, I mean, that's part of the adventure, I feel like, too, and you don't come over to China to do like your same mundane routine that you did at home. You come for a different style, different lifestyle. But as you were saying, like, there's still those comforts of home. I'm a sucker for a foot massage, so I go get foot massages. And living in China, we were able to do that quite a bit, because it's cheaper there. And so we were still able to have that, and then I joined a gym as well. So I had my gym membership and able to go there, and it was all within my neighborhood. I could either bike to it, I could walk to it. If I wanted to go into the big city or something, like a special event or something, I could easily hop on the subway and get there, or the bus. So I mean, there are those daily routines that you can find, but you don't have to. You can live off the cuff.
If you don't want to, you really don't have to. Yeah.
So have your friends, like your Chinese teachers, have they helped you at all in like adjusting to your life in China?
100%. My biggest thing that I say to people is, if you're going to do this, like, excuse me, you got to be ready for it. But you need your people, and it's going to be a completely different group of people to what you used to back home. But that's what makes this so easy. If I think to my adjustment, like, there's the other foreign teacher that's at my center. She's from the UK, and I've told her before that I could not have done this without her. Hands down. She's been here for a year now, and just having that tiny little bit of knowledge, just knowing a little bit more than me, being a little bit more comfortable, she made this for me. But then if I think, and that's just from like another expat's point of view, but like the CTs at my center are, or the CTs in general, are magic. But my CTs, they're phenomenal. And it's come down to things like teaching me little phrases and sending me voice notes on how to say, I'm lost, can you help me? And ordering food and bringing me fruit. Like, they'll bake at home and they'll bring things over, and just the little day-to-day things to make you feel like someone knows that you're there, they know you're new. And the friendships you form in this short space of time is unbelievable. So no, I couldn't have done it without them. Hands down, couldn't have done it without them.
Well, I tell you, it's been a couple years since I've taught over there, but I still stay in contact with my Chinese teachers. They're my best friends, to be honest with you. And also, like you were saying, adjusting, having another expat kind of help you in the day-to-day routine as well. I had the same thing. I had another teacher from the UK who had been living there for a couple of years. And so I talked with him before moving to Guangzhou and to first sleep in my center. But he was able to kind of help me adjust prior to going. And especially when I was there, like anything I had questions or anything, like they made sure that we were good. And the same thing goes for Chinese teachers too.
No, they're incredible, and they work so blooming hard too. They're phenomenal people.
Yeah. So and how First Sleep set up, like the Chinese teachers teach the basics of the English language, and then we get to teach the fun. We kind of put their work into action when we come as international teachers. So it's a lot of fun. So we talk a lot about our students together. Good students, bad students. Some students need special attention, some don't. So we were able to communicate that way. But my Chinese teachers helped me adjust so much because they were like family. They are family, and get invited to special occasions and weddings and things like that. Going to China, I never would have thought like I would get this opportunity to do this very cool cultural activity with local Chinese, friends, and they would, So it was really cool. Well, that kind of goes into our next subject here. What have been some challenges? We've talked about adjusting and helping you adjust and things like that. What have been some challenges?
I think my initial thing was that back home, I'm being a middle child and just being as close as my family is. I've never had to do anything on my own. So I didn't go to boarding school. I went to uni that was like an hour's flight away from home. But even so, every holiday, every long weekend, I went back home. So I never had to do anything by myself. And I will never forget my first day off. I'd been in China for all of 3 days, and I just wanted to go for a walk. Like, it was sunny, it was hot out. I just wanted to, but where do you walk if you're in China after 3 days? And I picked a road. And I was like, I'm just going to go straight for 15 minutes because that way I can't get lost if I turn a left or right. And like 10 minutes into it, I just realized that I was completely alone. And I thought if I even just tripped and fell, one, no one would know, and two, no one would like care or do anything because I don't know anyone here. And it blew my mind realizing that I was that far away from home, and for the first time I had to like actually do things on my own, one man, without anyone's help. But when it comes to the word challenge, that wasn't a bad thing. I have to remind myself of that. Like, I found myself being so alone, but I wasn't panicked by it. I was like, okay, this is new, but we can do it. Yeah.
I agree with you. I think you said that really well. I think it was new to you, so it was different, and then that's what's kind of maybe the challenge part of it. Is this is a new surrounding. I tell you one thing we'll talk about challenges. Kind of a good subject here. A challenge for me was when I first arrived to China was getting around and knowing the bus, because not everything's in English, or Pingling, I think is what it is. So it's tough to know the bus schedule and things like that. But again, that's what I have Chinese for, to kind of help make sure we get into the right location. And also while we're over there living, other expats are finding tips and, things like how they work and how it works, Here, you don't have this app? Well, you need this app because it's going to help, and things like that. So I think it was just kind of, for me, it was the challenge of like trying to figure out like, oh my gosh, everything's in Chinese, and I just want to get a bus like 5 blocks away, and but I tell you, once you accomplish that, you can accomplish anything. I feel like, you know.
Yeah, yeah. Well, that's what I thought as well, because that first day on the subway, I just remember thinking there is no chance I'm ever gonna find where I work, where I live. Like, this is me done. But now when I do it, I find myself getting to work and I'm like, oh my goodness, I don't think I was even present in my brain for that entire subway journey. And you're doing it on autopilot, and it just happens.
Yeah, because you do find your routine, and like you said, it is on
Yeah.
autopilot. So you're not even realizing, like, I'm in a subway crowded full of people and I'm the only expat, because it becomes the norm over there, you know, and it's not like, oh, it's, you know, it just becomes regular. I think, you know, and same with you, like you were saying, like how you got on the subway and realized that, I think for a few months after I arrived, I took a bus from Guangzhou to Hong Kong, and I went to the station, so I was able to, one, catch a taxi to get to the bus station. So I was able to tell them that in Chinese. I ordered my ticket to go to Hong Kong in Chinese. I'm sitting on the bus, the only expat on the bus, on my way to Hong Kong, and I'm listening to my music, and I'm like, I did it. Like, I'm home in Hong Kong right now, and like, one, it was just a surreal moment for me when I realized, like, I'm out there, I'm doing it. And then, like, the people, my friends at home, aren't going to know what this is like. No. To be able to have that type of, like, international accomplishment of being like, I did this. I can do this again. Yeah. I can go further.
Well, that's the thing. You just realize what you're capable of. Like, I remember I made a conscious decision the first time I did it to not use my subway map. And I was like, no, you've done it so many days in a row now. You need to know it by now. And that feeling when I got to work and I hadn't checked the map once, you're invincible. You're invincible for like a solid 10 minutes. Yeah.
10 minutes. Yeah. What can I do? Yeah. And then another subject comes up, go, yeah, I can do that. Let's go. You know? So it just keeps building and building. So I think that's pretty cool. It's a good way to put it. What do you know now that you wish you knew prior to coming to China? I love asking this question to expats that have been living in China.
That's a big one for me, because there's so much that I'm learning constantly when it comes to like fact-based things about China. But on a personal note, the one thing I really wish I knew before was how capable, one, and how unbelievably strong my character is. Because I was terrified. I was an absolute wreck leaving for China. A week before, I was like, no, not doing it. Like, we can cancel everything, not going. And my mom just laughed at me, and she said to me, she's like, you know you're going. And for 2 days, I was adamant that it wasn't happening. But now, when I look at the last 5 months, I don't know why I ever questioned myself, honestly. If someone could have just said to me beforehand that it was going to be the best decision I would ever make, that last week before home would have been a million times easier. Because everything has blown my mind in terms of the culture and the food and the people, and I think in a way that's to be expected, because everyone has an idea of a specific country before they get there. But on a personal note, if I just could have known before that I could have done this as easily as I've done it, that would have been first prize.
Yeah, I think I would have done it sooner. And like you were saying, like we were talking about earlier, I think I would have done it sooner. Just I would like to have more time and more years, and all that good stuff. But I think one thing, I did go into it with an open mind. I will say that I do feel like I did, and I think that that's one of the biggest things to anyone going to China, and that'll kind of lead to our next subject here, like advice for new teachers coming to China. The big advice I always give to everyone is be open. Don't say no a lot. Yeah. Because the coolest experiences I ever had, really in my life build up to now, was saying yes to stuff that I would have never said yes to in Atlanta, in my old home in Georgia. You know, like going to a strawberry patch in China and being able to pick strawberries, my students, you know, off school, you know, off property and everything like that, you know, and just, I don't know. I think that was one of the biggest things is like, be open. Don't say no a lot when you're over there, because like some of the coolest experiences I have has been in China with my local teachers and my local friends and, you know, things like that.
Yeah.
So what's your piece of advice you would give to new teachers coming?
I have to add to that, because that's what I've said that to every people in my training group. Out of our training group, we were only 10. 5 of us were South Africans. Like, what are the chances? But our country, as it is a little bit bizarre. So we tend to be open-minded anyway. But I just said to them, only once I got here did I realize how open-minded I needed to be. Because, I mean, like, there's not even traditional Western bathrooms.
Yeah.
And, like, it comes down to your basic everyday necessities that are different. The other day, I ate a deep-fried butterfly cocoon. And I was like, what is happening with my day? But that's the thing. My CTs came in. They were like, it's a traditional food. Do you want to taste it? And I could have gone, no, because I know exactly. So, yeah, I'll have a butterfly cocoon. Of course.
Oh, it brings so many memories of my teachers coming in wanting me to try food.
That's it. Like, how else are you going to learn? And no, and I eat things and I go places all the time where I'm like, I have no idea what I'm eating. 2, I don't know how to say the name of this place, but I'm here, and I might as well. And like you said, my best days so far have been random trips to Longting Gorge, random camping trips, people being like, we found this food market, or, you know, the most bizarre out of the box ideas. And if you just give it a chance, guarantee it's going to be amazing. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's a butterfly cocoon. I've never heard that before. I'm gonna have to look into that when we go back to Beijing.
It was tasty, but it was an experience.
Well, and I think that I have a couple funny food stories, but like going to a hot pot, you know, traditional hot pot, everyone kind of eats together, and there's some unusual, like esophagus and feet and, you know, things like that I normally wouldn't taste, but I'm in China. Why not taste it? My biggest thing is don't live with regret. And going to China and opening yourself up to a new culture, a new way, you know, a new way of lifestyle, a new way of living, for a little while, you know, don't say I could have, you know, I could have done this, I could have done that. Like, that's a boring story. I want to hear the story about you did do it, you know. So I think that's kind of a piece of advice that I would give is, you know, be open to trying new things and trying deep fried butterfly cocoons and and you know, fun things like that. And your experience is going to be amazing, and you're going to grow as a person as well. And you know, like you know, so.
But that's it. You just have to be ready for that. And I've said that to people that, you know, they've been following my journey here. And a lot of people back home especially have said to me, they're like, oh, it's just so effortless. How do I do it? Can I come? And I've said to a lot of people, I'm like, by all means, if this is what you want to do, great. I will help you get here. But you have to be ready to make this like your entire universe for a little bit, because it's not a small task. And yes, it's moving to another country is a big deal, but the job you're aligned to put yourself into, you need to be ready to make it your be all and end all, because it has so much to offer. But it's entirely going to be based on what you put into it as well. And you have to be so ready to change. Like, your entire life is going to do a 180, but it's so cool. And if you let it, it's going to be the best thing that'll happen to you, hands down.
Yeah, and especially, you know, I can even add on that, especially with China and the growth that's going on over there. You know, like as you were saying, like if you're open to it and everything, like the sky's the limit, really, you know.
Yeah, yeah.
So, well, cool. I think we'll kind of wrap it up there. Thank you so much, Alex, for joining us in Beijing. I know it's a little late over there. If you don't mind, guys, if you haven't seen before, make sure to follow and subscribe. You'll see a lot of pictures of Alex on Career China's Instagram. Hashtag My Story in China. So you'll see a lot of her when she's talking about the paint and her favorite classes, the art class. Like you'll see she's got paint, you know, on her and all that fun stuff. But so make sure you head over, subscribe, follow. We'll be doing more of these Facebook live sessions. Alex is coming from Beijing. We're going to have other teachers join us from all over China. So we'll get perspective on big city living, smaller city living, things like that. So just make sure you're following and subscribe along. And any questions you have, leave them in the comments below. I'll make sure to copy Alex on here so she can also help answer questions if you have anything particular about adjusting to everyday life in China as a teacher. And also, we have a lot of hot jobs. So if you want to join Alex in Beijing, where there's definitely opportunities, the growth is going like crazy over there. So there's a high demand for great international English teachers. So we'll put links to hot jobs below. And yeah, thanks again, Alex, for joining us. And we'll be in Beijing soon, so we'll see you over there. And yeah, thank you again.
Sounds good. Thanks, Josh. Thanks for your time. Appreciate it.
All right. Thanks, everyone. And we'll see you next time. Okay? All right. Bye.
Yeah.